Cybertron, our home, desecrated by war. A war you tried so desperately to avoid. And yet, here we are, on the same side of the battlefield. Makes me wonder why this war started in the first place. And now, seeing you betray your own people, I can't help but see a bitter echo of the past. But it's clear to me now that you've changed.
Your reign is over, Megatron. The Decepticons follow me now.
What do you know of loyalty, Prime? The moment you gain someone's trust, you turn your back on them. And let's not forget which side you started on. A redesignation and difference in appearance will never change that. You may run from it, disguise it even, but deep down under that facade, you're still the same pathetic Optimus Prime. I can see it. You're worried. Worried that all the betrayals, the deaths of your brothers, could all be for nothing. Or maybe, just maybe, you're terrified to admit that I'm right. It doesn't matter. Eventually you will crack. That disguise you cling to will shatter, and everyone will witness you as the false prophet you've always been. And when that time comes, you'll remember one absolute truth. I am the Decepticons.
You are right about one thing, Megatron. No matter how hard I may try, there will always be those who look to you as their rightful leader. But as long as I still function, the throne will never be big enough for you and I to coexist.
The pits of Chaos in glorious combat. The one who stands shall lead, and the one who falls shall perish.
I accept.
I believe in you. I always have.
You claim to believe, yet you prepare for my failure. You speak of loyalty, yet when the time came, you abandoned my true form without a second thought, and cast it aside. You sentenced me to death. You failed me.
Before we start, I just want to ask, how do you convey to people that you just experienced something that you absolutely love? Whenever I make a review or a video essay or just any kind of video, I try to take a piece of what I felt when interacting with the media, help others experience it, but it's really hard to articulate why you like something and why it works so well. I can tell you all day long why a movie failed because of behind the scenes drama, or because poor leadership, or maybe I just didn't like the dialogue. Maybe they didn't follow the canon, maybe they didn't follow the canon enough, maybe they undid previous character arcs, maybe the writing wasn't the best, the voice acting, the audio, the music, the visuals. All of these things come together and can make or break a movie. The core fundamentals of your project. I can rip into that all day, but after watching Johnny Flash's newest chapter in the NemesisPrime series, I don't exactly know how to talk about it. The movie was phenomenal. I absolutely love this. It is 100 out of 10, but it's hard for me to say why I love something. I'm gonna just give it my best shot, so bear with me. First of all, I gotta say that the music is phenomenal. It fits every single scene so well. The way it cuts, the way it fades, it's sudden, it's gradual, it's everything, and it makes every single scene, along with the voice acting. The cast, despite the fact that there's only 3 characters in this movie, completely sell it. Soundwave, Megatron, NemesisPrime feel like fully realized characters, especially if you've been watching for the past 5 years waiting for this movie to come out. This is amazing. The story, the fact that the Cyber Corruptor, a weapon that is in the game that you can get in campaign, a broken weapon that seemingly shouldn't work, but when firing at an enemy, it corrupts them and turns a Decepticon into an Autobot into a Decepticon. Their color changes and their symbols change, and they become your ally for a short period of time. This is something that is in the game that every single player can and probably already have used. It is a lot of fun, and the fact that this whole thing stemmed from this is incredibly creative. Something that just seemed like a fun weapon that no one would think twice about. A weapon that I thought had terrifying implications if you can just rewrite someone's emotions and memories, and even for a brief period make them think that they're an Autobot when they've always been a Decepticon. Johnny Flash and his team have made something incredible, something that I wish I could play in front of a boardroom of Hasbro executives and show them this works, and it works so unbelievably well. I wish modern Transformers would take more inspiration from stuff like Johnny Flash's NemesisPrime versus Megatron. It has genuine heart and emotion, so much emotion, especially on rewatch. I felt it even more. Scenes like Megatron and Nemesis debating on who's gonna lead the Decepticon, and Nemesis telling Megatron that both sides are in the wrong and have led to the decline of Cybertron. They are a cancer that has done nothing but hurt the planet they're fighting for, and if it keeps going, that there's going to be nothing left. And he's right. We've seen it multiple times. That is the reason why the entire game exists. That's why it's called Fall of Cybertron, because after War for Cybertron, this is what we did. We destroyed this beautiful planet, the homeworld of the Transformers, over what? Greed, power. He's right. He doesn't directly say what he's talking about when he says end the cycle. Megatron even says that it doesn't mean killing everybody, but he says that it's not a world worth living in where Nemesis wins, that no one will like that kind of freedom, which is a horrifying implication, that it's not Nemesis just genocide routing everybody, but it's something that could be argued to be worse. And the fact that half of this movie is filmed in a game from 2012 using a free cam mod is astounding. Once again, proving that Fall of Cybertron is just that game. It is perfect. Still, to this day, it is one of the best video games of all time and can be used in so many different ways, like a vessel for emotional, immature, and unique storytelling. Megatron challenges NemesisPrime to a gladiator duel where they both have to have their T-Cogs removed, and it is very reminiscent to the end of Fall of Cybertron. All you have is a sword and your flak shield. And this scene with Soundwave kind of broke me. Soundwave, before Cosmos came around, was my favorite Transformer ever since I was a kid. Who couldn't love the beatbox with an army of little mini-cons following his every command with that awesome voice? Soundwave is just so recognizable and cool, and he's eternally loyal to Megatron, indefinitely. There is very few continuities where he actually betrays Megatron to any capacity. And due to the previous chapters like Death of Megatron in the NemesisPrime series, where he literally found Megatron, who was infected by the Cyber Corruptor as well, but instead of becoming this evil, malicious tyrant, he then became a sniveling coward, much like Starscream, just begging Soundwave, his most loyal advisor, to finally put him out of his misery, because everything that made Megatron Megatron has been destroyed. He is an empty husk of his former self. Soundwave contemplates it, but ultimately cannot kill the person that gave his life purpose, that saved him so many years ago, and created a movement that he has based his entire life around. Soundwave still believes in these principles, but does Soundwave believe more in the bot or the cause that he made? That's one of the questions that NemesisPrime, I feel like, is going to pose in a later chapter. Preparing for their final fight, I remember thinking, yeah, Nemesis is probably gonna win, but if he doesn't, Megatron winning just means that the series ends, so I didn't really feel too invested in it until Soundwave sneaks in a T-Cog to give the Megatron. Megatron begrudgingly takes it, and then Soundwave opens up about a heartfelt speech about how Megatron saved him and how he believes in him, and then that causes Megatron to finally snap. One of my favorite scenes in Death of Megatron is Soundwave saying, "I hope I've done right by you," by creating a clone of Megatron with a backup of his memories from before him getting corrupted. Megatron's clone sits there looking at his former self and just tells Soundwave to get rid of him, that he is a stain on Megatron's legacy, and Soundwave complies begrudgingly. Megatron didn't acknowledge any hardship Soundwave went through and bring him back to life like this. The amount of PTSD this guy has in just this series alone. Megatron snaps, grabs Soundwave by the face, screaming at him, finally saying what he didn't say to Soundwave when he asked if he did right by him. The answer, in Megatron's opinion, is no. Not even close. Soundwave says he believes in him, but because he's preparing Megatron for the worst possible outcome, as if there was actually a doubt, a chance that Megatron would fall in this fight. Giving him cheap, underhanded tactics like being able to transform or take his riot cannon into the fight. The fact that he was unable to even find a cure to save the original, and he had to resort to making a backup. Soundwave failed to save him twice, and all Megatron hears is him saying his goodbyes and his final words. Soundwave isn't loyal. At least that's what Megatron thinks, and Megatron starts crushing Soundwave's skull under his foot, even playing the War for Cybertron bleeding out music and sound effects, and it gets really close. As someone who's played a lot of Escalation, Soundwave is milliseconds from dying here, his visor even flickering and nearly powering off for good, his spark being extinguished. But Megatron lifts his leg up and just leaves. This isn't canon. This isn't made by Hasbro. This isn't official. And how come I felt genuine anxiety? I was afraid that Soundwave was actually going to die in such a horrific way. The fact that this scene is so well animated, so well choreographed, the music, the sound effects, and the voice acting completely sells this scene. It made me genuinely afraid, and it made me care about the upcoming fight even more. And if a fan film can do that, make me fear for favorite characters' lives, despite the fact I know it's a fan film, I know that's not actually Fall of Cybertron Soundwave, and that he's gonna board and create the Nemesis, and that they're gonna go for the portal, and blah blah blah. Felt a genuine emotion in this scene. But anyways, that's what leads up to the final battle. Megatron running out, reading the crowd, and then facing NemesisPrime. Megatron says his normal jest to try and get a rise out of Optimus one more time. Nemesis just coldly replies that Megatron will be forgotten, that the Decepticon cause is more than him, and the way that he's gonna do it is by removing its head. I want to go over the eeriness of NemesisPrime, his pure presence in these movies. Originally, NemesisPrime was made by the Cybercorruptor, and it almost feels like after that incident, he started invading other videos like a Dark Souls Red Spirit. He's somewhere he shouldn't be, and it kind of seems like a early 2000 creepypasta, like I swapped on the game on my Xbox 360 Elite, and then I grabbed the controller, I booted up the campaign, but something was wrong. Optimus Prime wasn't a hero, bro. He was killing Autobots. He was black with Decepticon symbols and red bloodshot eyes. He was Nemesis Prime. I was so scared I turned the game off. But then Nemesis Prime came to my house. But seriously though, Nemesis Prime almost invaded other videos. I know it was misdirection. It was always set in the Nemesis Prime universe, but it caught you off guard having a story that you didn't think had anything to do with the Nemesis Prime series, especially when we didn't know it was a series and not a one-off. Seeing him like a force of nature just come in and rip apart our favorite characters when we thought it was an unrelated skit. You know, like the normal lighthearted stuff Johnny Flash usually does. It just made him feel like a rogue entity. And he started talking more and more as the story went on, but for a majority of the time, he just didn't really talk in these. Only saying a few cool lines and then disappearing off to jump scare us in the next video. Now he's all philosophical, but there's still that kind of eeriness to him that we don't quite know what he has planned. The fight goes in Megatron's favor for a while, Megatron going on the offensive as you'd expect, Nemesis playing very defensive, but then Nemesis finds an opening and attacks Megatron, putting him on the defensive. Megatron in this actually looking scared, actually having doubts. It finally hitting him, Soundwave in the corridor telling him that if he wants to make another backup, it has to be now. Otherwise, this is it. No more resurrections this time. Megatron gets thrown to the floor. Nemesis is about to end it. Then Megatron uses his fusion cannon and shoots Nemesis point blank. Something he scalded Soundwave for. The fact that he'd actually need to use such an underhanded trick ends up saving him. And you'd think the crowd would be upset because Megatron cheated. You're not supposed to be able to transform or take your fusion cannons in. The sight of Megatron using his iconic weapon in this end-all be-all fight, the crowd erupts in cheers, but Nemesis Prime isn't down. He then begins to put Megatron on the offensive. Megatron losing one of his swords, Nemesis dual-wielding. All Megatron has is his trusty fusion cannon and the flak shield. Frantically running around trying to put distance between him and the monster that lives in Optimus Prime's skin, calling himself Nemesis Prime. He realizes that he can't win through sheer brute force like everything else in his life. He even flies up using his hover ability, but still not enough. Nemesis jumping up and impaling him through the chest with both blades. Megatron crawling on the ground, pinning him to the ground as Nemesis picks up Megatron by the head and starts to tear it from his shoulders. Soundwave jumping down, begging to stop the fight, gets shocked and put to the ground by Onslaught. Soundwave, barely conscious, can only watch in horror as Megatron gets decapitated. Megatron taunts Optimus, even calling him Orion, saying he's right about it. That he knows Nemesis is afraid that there's a chance that after everyone he's killed, there's a chance that Optimus is still in there and that everything he did was for nothing. And it cuts to a flashback, both of them remembering their time as D16 and Orion Pax going to meet the Council of Elders right before one of them is made the next Prime. D16 saying to Orion that they will always be brothers and have each other's back. It cuts to Soundwave reaching out, trying his hardest to do anything to stop what's about to happen, and Nemesis walking away from Megatron and dropping his head on the ground in front of him as Soundwave's visor darkens. Nemesis Prime, energon blood splattered across his faceplate. The camera zooms in, and his eyes turn from crimson red to Optimus Prime blue, and then the movie ends. Oh my god, dude. Like, are you kidding me? That's how it ends? Like, you can't be serious. That was so amazing. The fight choreography, the music, the cinematography, and just the long take on Nemesis's face as he slowly turns back to Optimus Prime. And the thing that snaps him out of it is killing Megatron. Not Bumblebee saying, "I'm your oldest friend," or Hot Rod, or Jazz calling him Orion, or even seeing Megatron again. It's killing his brother. We don't know if this is Optimus Prime fully back or this is just a glimpse of what could happen, but the future of the Nemesis Prime movies, I'm so there for it. If you can, please donate to the movie so we can get more stuff like this. And this movie is up there. This fan-made machinima and 3D animated movie that was filmed inside of Blender and a game that came out in 2012 that I went into an EB Games I begged my mom to buy me for my birthday, created such an amazing fan base that enabled creators like Johnny Flash in order to create this cinematic masterpiece. This is up there with Skybound and Transformers 1 for me. This is some of the best Transformers stories I've seen in recent years in the franchise. Cannot express how much I love this movie and how much it made me feel, admittedly almost making me cry. I hope this continues, and I hope this inspires so many other creators to continue and make their own Transformers series, video games, movies, shows. This is what Transformers needs. Fans creating stuff like Transformers 99, Transformers Rust, the Decepticons, Cybertron Falls, and NemesisPrime versus Megatron. And I can safely say that this is the best fan-made Transformers movie of all time. Johnny Flash, you and your team should be very, very proud of yourselves. And if you guys haven't already, please go check out this movie and all the other projects I just listed. Hasbro, genuinely take notes from this. Well, I love you guys. I'll see you in 2030 when the next chapter of Nemesis Prime comes out. Bye guys.